We have to call order. First thing to do is the flag, please. So if you all select this flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. We have Deanne, Wiegand, Weedham.
Wyman.
Wyman. I apologize. And then, Anna. Julie Hale. Maybe cross that. Hey, Hill. Carol Yardley. Bill Robert, myself, Nate Whipper. I think the first, that's the second item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda? Pardon me? Vote. Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have public participation. And I know some of you are going to be here to want to discuss the urban renewal matter. What we're going to do on that is we are going to wait until the urban renewal item comes up after the school district has the city of North Bend has an opportunity to present their position and their request. We'll have public comment, 3 minutes each at that time. Putting that aside, does anybody have any public comment that does not have to do with urban renewal? Do I have one here?
Have one.
One. Is it up here?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yes, Ashley Stoddard.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Ashley, why don't you come on up? Have a seat. And share with us your comment. You have 3 minutes, and I think doesn't it beat?
I think it'll be.
When 3 minutes is up, it'll be, so.
Okay, I'm here in regards to my son Corey Stoddard. He's been a student of the North Bend School District since kindergarten. He's now starting his sophomore year. His inter-district transfer was denied on July 30th with the written explanation as to why he was denied with the following reasons. One was his attendance and the second one was for his behavior. As far as attendance, Corey has missed minimal days of school for the 24 to 25 school year. I can only recall 1 to 2 days that he missed due to illnesses in which he was excused for by a parent. I do understand that Corey was consistently tardy to his first period class, but regarding him missing full classes or days, it was never unexcused or without reason. Corey also signed a contract to play sports that requires him to maintain a 90% attendance to participate and was never reprimanded for his attendance. Talking with some of his teachers about being one of the reasons why Corey was denied his inter-district transfer, it was offered for him to be a TA in their classroom for first period so they can help monitor his attendance and his tardies. They stated that if he was absent, they would personally be calling Corey and both parents in efforts to cut down on his absences. They also stated this would help monitor his tardies, as most of his tardies last year were first period. They stated he would endure consequences in his sports and possibly sit out from participating if attendance dropped below a certain agreed upon percentage. As far as Corey's behavior, Corey had been issued 1 day of ISS for his freshman year. Corey had not been in any trouble that required consequence to my knowledge other than one instance. We had minimal complaints about Corey and his behavior in school from teachers and school staff. Corey had nothing but good reviews and kind words said about him on his final report card for the end of the year, and not one negative complaint about his behavior. The same teachers, as mentioned above, stated that they would be willing to do a check-in and check out with Corey in the afternoons as well for school. This would either be by Corey stopping by their classrooms before practice, or simple as a text or a phone call checking on him to see if he had any issues in class. They stated they would keep in close contact and mentor him through these behaviors if needed, and they would ensure that he stayed on his best behavior during his sophomore year in high school. As you can imagine, Corey has built many friendships with not only other students, but teachers and staff as well. He has managed to maintain these friendships and relationships throughout many years. He's played sports with the same children since he was 4 years old, to the point that they are more like family. Forcing him to switch schools would be detrimental to not only his education, but his mental health and well-being. When teachers and coaches and administrative staff heard about this denial, they were just as surprised to hear about this mistreatment. In turn, they have volunteered to advocate in person or write letters to the school board advocating for this appeal to be overturned. I ask that you please consider the above solutions to the reasons as to why Corey was denied for his interdistrict transfer, as continuing his education and graduating as a Bulldog are extremely important to him. And then I know that Gary Prince and Brad Horning have emailed all of the school board members as well as the principal and vice principal. And I have 2 additional letters here, if anybody wants to read them.
You get the letters from Michelle, then
Okay.
you can make it available to her.
Okay.
And I appreciate your time.
No problem. Are you Michelle?
There it is. Can't think without a pen. Any other public comment that do not have to do with the ERA? I don't, okay, fair enough. We're moving on to board reports and communications. That's item number 4A. Do we have any board reports? Yeah. Food service, Anna Mold, is that just a report? Okay, Anna? Annie, I'm sorry. That's what happened if you look at the first letter.
I just wanted to give a quick update about our food service program. We are currently wrapping up our summer food service program of their food out in the parks and things like that. And we also serve the Boys and Girls Club. We have been staying pretty steady at just around 300 kids every day in the parks and Boys and Girls Club. So we're really excited about that. We get excited to see those kids. The USDA approved for us to be able to send those meals home with them, have parents and guardians pick them up. So we've been able to reach more kids that way, which has been great. We also got to partner with the Art in the Park. They came and followed our route around so they could give out art kits and stuff too. And that's been a really big hit. We have been approved for our community eligibility program for our CEP. And that makes it to where we can have free lunch, free breakfast for every student without applications or income requirements. And so we've been approved for that for another 4 years, no matter what happens in the political world that we're in right now, which is fantastic. We are going to continue our supper program with the Boys and Girls Club, and we also have the CACFP PM snack for our Biddy Bulldogs in the pre-K. And that's just about it for the extent of what we're doing for food service this year.
I noticed that you mentioned in the first week of the food service over the summer, 1,419 breakfasts were served to students and 1,665 luncheons. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, it was one of our busiest first weeks opening out in the summer we've ever had, which was phenomenal. We had 95 kids at Boynton Park on one day.
Appreciate the work you did.
Thank you. Any questions for me? No? All right.
Association reports, we have Eva, Margaret here. Here she is.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't have a formal report today. I just thought that since we have new board members, I would introduce myself. So hello, my name is Eva and I'm the MBEA or Union Certified Staff President. And I also teach K through 12 English as a second language or English language development. It has lots of names. But anyway, hello. And one of the things that I like to do at each of these meetings is to celebrate our staff, both our certified and classified staff who are nominated by their peers. I don't have that presentation for tonight, but just thought I'd let you know that that's something that you can look forward to. I know it's something that the staff really enjoys seeing. Sometimes they're a surprise to those who are nominated, so it's a good thing. Anyway, hello and welcome, and I will be seeing you more.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the superintendent's report.
All right, I want to start it off, though, you have the written report that's in the packet, and as new board members, just gonna get kind of the same kind of an update. I won't read word for word what I wrote in the packet. I might highlight something along the way, but I don't typically just read to you what I know that you have read. And so, I just want to highlight news that we talked a month ago about the funds that were frozen at the federal level on several entitled areas. Then a couple of weeks ago, the administration unfroze those funds, and so those are back available to us, the ones that impact. Like I said before, the impact is not huge on us on Spiritora, but our Title II funds, we actually did receive a pretty good chunk there, so we're happy to have those being frozen. Just a reminder, we don't have kids tonight, so I'll kind of do that piece. Fall sports is on its way. So by the time we meet the next time, we will have, we'll have official events in the book, by the time we meet in September. And so they start practices, on the 18th, Brandon, 18th. So that's the OSAA start here. And so you may see kids out doing workouts and things. They have the ability to do workouts, under, camps and things like that. They're not official practices. That won't start until the 18th. And then, like I said, by the time we meet, we will have already had a number of contests that are official. So we've got all kinds of opportunities to go out and see that. And as you might imagine, people are coming back to work after their breaks. Today, we had a great day with all of the building administrators. We had kind of a assistant principal day. And each of the departments at the district office had an opportunity to work with them, talk to them, and bring things to them, and kind of have a great day where our principals and assistant principals were the focus. And so that was a lot of fun. First time we did a day like today, and I had a couple of good comments, and I don't think they were just kissing up. I think they were actually good comments. So it seemed to go like it seemed to be a good day. So it was kind of fun out there. Very fun, actually. We good to have our new folks there. Splash is coming up. If you recall, we have our incoming kindergarten kids spend a couple of weeks at the school. That will be coming on the 14th. That was our first day of Splash. And so we'll get some kindergarten kids in. So couple of things. Introduce two people to you. Okay, Jane, new high school principal, Jane Brown. Okay, let's get me in.
All right.
Happy to have him step aboard, and then Brandon Standridge, athletic director, assistant principal. Shane already lived here, so he didn't have to move. Brandon had to move his family, and so they bought a house, and so they moved into the area. And I did want to say one more thing. Since Eva didn't have any special stories or things and nominations, where's Daryl? Daryl, you gotta be here. Oh my goodness, Daryl's not here. Well, I'm gonna say it anyway. So 2 nights ago, we had an issue with the high school. And someone worked very hard between 12:09 a.m. and 12:41 a.m. to break into the high school right through a window in the front. And then they decided they were gonna go over to the middle school and slash a tire, more or less for food service vans. We don't exactly know who it is yet, but Daryl ended up on the phone list getting the call, and so he showed up at about 12:50, 12:55. So we spent time while the police to the building. We were pretty fortunate in the sense that the person who came in, when we got in the building, stayed in the building about a minute and a half, any damage once they were inside. So that there's a silver lining. So Daryl, the police lady, and I'm looking at the video, and Daryl's truck just doesn't go anywhere. He slept in his truck because the window was wide open and the building wasn't secure. So Daryl just slept in his back, not the very back, but in the back, the double cabs in the back seat of his truck. And he stayed there until Mark came the next morning and gave him a rundown of what happened before he went home. So I want to honor him for doing that. And today, in our thing, I gave him a golden pillow. So he got the golden pillow award. Gave him a mug so that, you could, give him and a granola bar so that he could actually sustain himself. If he arrests, we did it again. We're just split. We're just, I thought he would be here tonight. But I just want to give kudos to Daryl for going the extra mile and hanging out there at the high school when we had a window that was open, and the high school obviously was not secure. So kudos to Daryl.
Yes.
All right. Next, we have the action consent item, which is made up of board meetings July 1, 2005, and work session July 10, and then a surplus report. Give a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve the consent.
Okay. A second. We get a second. So the motion to approve consent items, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, motion passes. All right, moving forward, to item number 6 on the agenda, that's the urban renewal action item. We're looking at request by the city of North Bend to pass 2 resolutions. One to extend the funding and all of the. Well, I have to explain a little more specifically. So we're going to start by having a presentation by the city of North Bend. After which we will have public comment. I have 2 people who have expressed an interest in public comment on this. And then we'll have discussion.
Hey, good evening, board chair, members of the board, members of the community. My name is Jeff Bridgens. I'm the finance director for the city of North Bend and its urban renewal agency. Tonight, I'm here to respectfully request your support on 2 important votes that will benefit our students, strengthen our community, and cost the school district nothing. First, the substantial amendment for our urban renewal agency. This decision centers on a straightforward question. Should approximately $250,000 annually of locally generated tax revenue stay in North Bend to benefit our students, our families, or should those funds be sent to Salem for redistribution to other school districts statewide? Let me be clear about what this does and doesn't mean for school funding. Your state funding remains unchanged regardless of tonight's decision. That's because Oregon school funding formula is enrollment-based, tied to the number of students in our classrooms. This amendment doesn't reduce your state allocation by a single dollar. What it does is allows us to keep local tax dollars working for local students and families instead of subsidizing districts elsewhere in the state. The centerpiece of this amendment is a downtown housing development, which includes housing for families, meaning students in our classrooms. When we create housing opportunities for families, we strengthen enrollment, which translates directly into increased funding for teacher salaries, programs, and supporting students. The city has already demonstrated a faithful commitment to this housing project by securing $4 million in federal funding for this project. Your approval tonight unlocks and multiplies that commitment by creating a powerful blend of federal resources, local dollars, and community vision. I want to say just a few things on housing availability and its importance. So it's no secret that there's a lot of shortage of housing in the state, and the state has been pushing a mandate onto cities to not only do a housing needs assessment, but then also start reporting on our progress towards meeting those needs. That's new for this fiscal year. And so just emphasizes the importance of housing in our community and a strong need for it. The second resolution that you have before you tonight involves approving a public building project to be included within the overall scope of a new downtown housing development, should it make sense to do so. This approval doesn't obligate the district financially. It simply enables the inclusion of public facilities within the scope of a plan. These approvals represent investments in ourselves. I believe that local tax dollars are best spent right here locally. We are asking you to support leveraging federal dollars and keeping our local dollars local, and creating facilities that serve students, families, and particularly meet our housing needs. When we revitalize our downtown, we are creating a safer, more vibrant environment for our citizens. We stand for supporting local businesses through economic activity, and we strengthen the tax base that supports both city services and school operations. We are choosing for many reasons to build, including stable enrollment. Other cities around the state of Oregon have created vibrant downtowns utilizing urban renewal as an economic tool. There is no reason we cannot do the same in our city. Tonight, I respectfully ask for your yes vote on both the substantial plan amendment for the North Bend Urban Renewal Agency and approval to allow a public building within the scope of the downtown housing project, should it make sense to do so. These votes cost the school district nothing, but unlock significant investment right here in North Bend. They keep local dollars working for the people who live and work in our community. Our citizens, including our students, deserve a thriving community, both in and out of the classroom. Tonight, you have the opportunity to help build that. Thank you for your consideration, and thank you for your dedication to North Bend students, staff, and families.
Do we have any questions of the city, of Jeff or Mr. Wilbur? This one, okay, go ahead, ready to.
So I noticed in the packet that it looks like you're exempting out from the urban renewal district, the school district now the buildings here. What is the implication, if any, of that?
That was a carryover from the prior administration. A amendment can be made to the map. There was concern about eminent domain, which does not occur from government to government. There's also process when you use eminent domain. The city has not used eminent domain in its entire history. And so in an 11th hour, we were asked to eliminate the school district building from the Urban Renewal Agency. For those of you that attended or listened to training, the foremost expert in the state advised that that's not really advisable for the school district. And so should you choose to move forward with the resolution tonight, you can request and the city can modify to have it put back in. Every other entity that has granted approval, you would be the last, has had it inside, you would be the last. We have informed the other districts that we had modified it out. It's not a substantial change. So to put it back in, because it's a tax exempt property, still has no really effect on the district. So that is sort of the background. And if you have a follow-up question, I'm glad to address that as well.
So you said that the expert said that it was not advisable, but why is it not advisable to remove it? If it's tax exempt anyways?
Because the school district as a government can actually do cost sharing on projects with the urban renewal district. So for instance, if you wanted to make improvements to your facilities, you could do a joint project with the urban renewal agency. At some point, if you decided that you were going to relocate, you wanted to do an urban renewal facade grant or some other type of project to the building, the urban renewal agency can participate with you in that. And so that's why the guidance was that it's advisable to be within the district.
Real quick, if we didn't do that at this time, would we able to decision to do so in the future?
If we can do, this is a substantial amendment, that would be a minor amendment. So yes, it could be changed at any time because it's a very minuscule. All of the other bodies have already approved it with it in. And so if there was a motion tonight, just simply ask that it be put back into the district and it would be done because it still has to be approved by the City Council of North Bend. And then the Urban Renewal Agency would actually have the final vote. So at that process, it would be put back in.
Any other questions?
Yes, and so,
you talk about how, you know, the state pays we get paid person based on the students that come to the schools. Are there any bills outstanding or talk in Salem where that type of like school funding allocation might be changed in the next couple decades, or is it pretty? Is there any, I guess, is there any reason, since this is a 30-year project that we're talking about, is there any reason to fear that, you know, we're relying on that now and that may disappear in the next couple decades?
Great question. That same question was posed by a previous administration. When I say that, of course, prior to the past election. We asked our state representative and our state legislative offices to contact Salem. They said it's highly unlikely because they already have all of the agreements in place with all urban renewal agencies statewide. And so it would have to grandfather them in any changes of state formula. The consultant said that no one has a crystal ball. No one could say whether or not it would ever change. But they would have to account for that because urban renewal agencies are created under state law. And so you can't disenfranchise them. Case in point, when they implemented 2 state changes to taxation for property, measures 5 and 50, they actually created a ability for a special levy so that the urban renewal agencies would not see an immediate decrease because they had debt. North Bend has one of the oldest urban renewal agencies. That's because we don't generate tax increment fast enough to actually pay and subset. It is critical also that came up is the city and the urban renewal agency has 3 options. The option is to do the substantial amendment, which is what we've asked for. The largest project being a housing project adjacent to this building. The second is if there's been notion from folks outside your district, outside our city, that are anti-urban renewal and would like it to shut down. If we don't get the affirmative, we then can actually continue the urban renewal agency with a 20% increment of the current maximum indebtedness. So the URA will not go away. And then the third option is that even after expiring the 20%, the city and the urban renewal agency can simply just create yet another urban renewal district. And so this one is very critical. We worked with the county to acquire the annex. It was always intended that that was going to be a housing project, and it is for workforce housing, very specific to public safety, healthcare, education workers, and logistic workers. I always caveat that the logistic workers portion was added in because of the proposed container ship project.
There's a special levy that the city of North Bend is currently using,
Yes.
actually said. Citizens are paying, and my understanding that's going away if this is passed.
If this is passed, it sunsets. If we extend the 20%, it remains. You can sunset it with a substantial amendment, or that we have fulfilled the full and we sunset the URA. So yes, with an affirmative vote, all taxpayers in the city of North Bend will see a tax break on their tax bills.
Do we know how much?
We did some calculations. Could you remember? It's about, I think across the whole city was about $250,000.
The total amount, I think that we raised on the special levy is around $300,000.
Okay, 300,000.
Overall,
It's definitely something.
yeah, any other questions, Fonz?
Yes. With this being obviously promoted and what you're in favor of, I get that. As I understand it, it hasn't gone to a vote for the public.
Certainly through training, no urban renewal agency in the state goes to a public vote. It's not required to. The state did not set it up that way, so it would never go to a vote of the populace, nor has any urban renewal agency in the state of Oregon.
But yet it affects the populace.
It does not affect in the sense that their tax bill is not altered whatsoever. Even if the URA did not exist today, your tax bill would be identical in the city limits of North Bend. So no, it does not affect your tax bill.
So there isn't even an advisory vote or anything like that. Okay, so it's still the intention, or what's intended, that there's gonna be housing.
It's not intention, it's actually the project, the primary project is, so you cannot move forward with other projects. The amendment, substantial amendment shows what the critical project is, and that is what gets funded. So it is a housing project that is the substantial. There are other projects in there, such as maintaining existing infrastructure, your streetscapes, your facade grants, things like that, to maintain tax increment. But the number one project in the substantial amendment is indeed the annex housing project. And that has not changed from the original purchase of that property with the county, understanding that it was sold to the Urban Renewal Agency specifically for future housing.
Now, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was not supposed to be any extra strain on our septic system, sewer system, and yet it seems like I hear an awful lot about it not being adequate.
Our system is adequate. In fact, we are looking for in 2040 a expansion. So we are planning for the future. And so a system as you grow is our current system is for a 16,000 population city. We're at 10,400. So that system, regardless where you are, what community you're in, is going to near capacity. So you start planning for capacity upgrades. We're already in negotiations with the airport district about obtaining land adjacent and have been very transparent with the public that in 2040, we'll be looking for expanding our wastewater treatment plant.
And you're satisfied with the information that you put out, that the community is fully aware of this project and what it will mean?
I think that the community is very well aware of it. I think that in the most recent election, it played a part. There was a lot of communication in the community, in the newspapers, the TV, the website, social media. So yes, I feel very confident that the public's aware that they'll get housing out of this. They'll get a tax break out of this, that it doesn't cost the school district anything, and that it will actually help the school system by bringing in and housing folks that currently cannot find housing in our community that's affordable for those 4 areas that are restricted by the federal grant.
And then if this does not develop as intended, what happens then?
What part does not develop? Can you be more specific?
Let's just say, okay, the housing end of this, that means the government's going to become landlords?
No, it does not mean that we become landlords. We are doing a public-private partnership. And so very much, for instance, we have a public-private partnership with the North Bend Hotel. Is the city the landlord? Absolutely not. NeighborWorks Umpqua is the landlord. We are also in the process of creating a land bank authority, and so that we can have a public-private partnership of a management company to manage the project and the actual facility. So it was always our intent to have it back on the tax rolls and be producing property back for the taxpayers of North Bend.
Is that written in the proposal anywhere?
It's been stated at every meeting that we've been at. The proposal is about projects. So no, there's nothing in there that says thou shalt do every single thing that David Miller just said. We have a governing body, which is the Urban Renewal Agency, that manages that. They also happen to be the city council. And so they're amenable to the voters and the people, and therefore at the voter box, if you will. So yes, they've approved that project. They have put the full faith of the city and the Urban Renewal Agency behind it. And that has always been the intended project. to address the concerns of the community. We've done significant outreach. The housing needs analysis had a phenomenal amount of public participation. The housing implementation study, and as Mr. Bridgens has mentioned, now we are at a situation of, we have a statewide mandate, every city, every county, that we have to produce housing, and we have a dashboard that is transparent to the public. So there's no question that there is a need for housing in our community, and that this project is going to help address that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone questions the fact that we need housing. I don't think anyone questions the fact that that building is pretty darn ugly. Our voting, though, was interesting, because if I recall, didn't we only have a turnout of like 20-some% of the vote? Which is not a majority to me.
Our voter turnout in the most recent election is no different than the last 5+ years.
So they've all
So-
been in the low 20s.
Pretty much, yes. But again, you're voting on a plan amendment, not voting records.
But is, Carol, something to what you're saying, I have a question, because you were just saying, you have a management company managing, that doesn't mean they're owning it though, so the city will still own it, and then you have a managing, so that's, it's not really a partnership when somebody owns it and then they work for them, is that what you're saying, like there's a management company, they don't own it?
So the Urban Renewal Agency most likely will be requested. Again, it's up to the Urban Renewal Agency. The Urban Renewal Agency can sell the property, or it could also transfer it to the Land Bank Authority. The reason that it would be transferred to the Land Bank Authority, which would then eliminate liability from the city, its taxpayers, it would also generate revenue back into the community so that we can pay for the streets, and then make improvements in the downtown district. And so that's the only reason that we would have that, because we do not generate enough tax base yet to actually provide those services. So your investment and those of the other taxing districts actually would provide roughly between $750,000 to $1 million of improvements back into the district on an annual basis.
And so the second building, which is on the second resolution that we're doing, with the city offices in it, you plan to continue to own that as well, correct?
So the second one, I've mentioned this prior, but I want to make sure that I'm clear. The second is a concept of including public offices as part of the larger development. The city council and the Urban Renewal Agency have not approved anything about having those included. The reason behind that is that we are in this building now, and the only reason that we would include public offices in that larger complex is if we were able to expand the development and demolish City Hall. This City Hall right now needs $250,000 just for roof repairs. It has about $8 million of seismic upgrades. This section of City Hall is the nicest section. It was originally a fire station. And so there is not tax revenue to continue to throw money into a building that we'll never be able to keep up with the repairs. However, we can downsize and put City Hall office space along Union at the bottom storefront of the development. Developments in North Bend downtown generally like to see about 25% of what we say commercial retail. So it would be not unlike us to then go ahead and be a tenant in our own building, if you will, and be able to manage and provide government services much more affordably than what the overhead of this building and the future costs are going to cost us.
And who's going to be the one overseeing the money?
We actually will have a third party, so number one, Mr. Bridgens is a CPA. All right, so grant management is done through the city and the Urban Renewal Agency. We generate a report every year. Because there's $4 million of federal grant dollars attached to it, there's also what's called single federal audits, and so it's all transparent. The annual reports and the financials are published for the public inspection. And so when we contract, it's all done under state and federal law contracting. And so we do reimbursement requests to the HUD department against the 4 million. We will most likely go ahead and go into debt as urban renewal agencies are supposed to for this. And so the money coming in actually will then pay the debt so that we don't wait 10 or 20 years to do a development and pay 3 times the amount of what it would cost through escalation.
Carol, the Urban Renewal Agency receives an outside audit every single year. It has, every year it's been in existence. So every single year we have auditors coming in and doing a financial statement audit just of the Urban Renewal Agency.
And those
we
are
post those
published online.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're published online and also sent to the state that reviews them.
Yeah, I guess the one thing that keeps standing out to me, and I hear what you're saying, you're not required to ask any of the voters. I totally disagree with that big time. And once this is approved, no one has any control over it other than the urban renewal.
Well, when you say control, so your elected officials have a fiduciary responsibility. Your fiduciary responsibility is to do what's in the best interest of the school district, just as the city council and the urban renewal board members are no different. They're amenable at the ballot box. The public decides who the representatives are. This particular project has been on the radar and on the books now for 4 years. Our public's well aware of this project and our request, and has been more publicized than any other project that we've done in this city.
Well, I would stand to disagree with that, but everybody can have their own opinion here. I just, from talking to different people in the community, there's a lot of people that are not aware of what it means and how it's gonna work. And we can say all the time, we've done this, we've done that, that's fine, I get it. 20% turnout on a vote, that's ridiculous. It may be what happens, and shame on us then as a community. If that's the best we can do to come out, for elections have consequences.
Anybody else have any questions, any thoughts? Before we move on? Yes. Well, I appreciate your time. If we have additional questions, I'm sure you'll be here. So I'm happy to be, when we have our discussion. We're gonna move ahead to public comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can we keep it with request to make a public comment? First, Rob Taylor. Rob Taylor, you coming forward?
That's Rob, is a Rob Durst. Rod is the guy who's the commissioner.
Rob, R-O-B, Rob.
He's the one who's already voted on this.
Put Robert up with the Robert.
Well, if I put Rob, she said Rob.
What is it?
Okay then. So we're doing this again, and I have to congratulate 4 of you brand new board members. Congratulations, you guys did a fantastic job. I have to give kudos to the Democratic Party. They were organized and very well entrenched. I give you kudos for that. You won, and Carol is right. Elections have consequences. Unfortunately, I don't believe the BS that was spewing from David Milliron's mouth. Michelle Roberts wrote a good explanation after the last vote. And it was beautiful. You were right. You were right on. And for anyone saying that this isn't going to hurt us as taxpayers, $40 million out of, what is it, 8, 9 other taxing districts? We know the county's going to lose $50,000. 60. It keeps going up. Isn't that beautiful? $60,000 that they don't have. and they voted no on this. Don't you take them into consideration? You're county members, I'm a county member, I'm for Bandon. I don't even want to be here, but I have to be here because your projects, they're going to affect me as a taxpayer. And anyone who says different, they're lying to you because those taxing districts have to provide a service. And if that money goes into your urban renewal agency, they're not going to have money to provide those services. Where do you think they're going to go to get that money? Well, I know where they're going to go. They're going to go to the voters, the taxpayers, and they're going to say, hey, we need more money. And that's how your taxes go up because of urban renewal. And you guys, you ran for the school board because you must care about the school. You know why I've been fighting this? I've known Elaine Howard, the expert, for 20 years. I've been fighting this. There's a cheese factory in Bandon. When they put it up, they gave us all kinds of promises. There's going to be huge businesses coming out and building all around that area. The one secondhand store there, it's out of business and they're trying to sell it. There's a parking lot still, and the same auto shop is still right there. No promises. Urban renewal is going to save Coos Bay, but you go drive down in downtown Bandon, or Coos Bay, and all of those places that got urban renewal money, about a third of them, they're out of business. Go look at all the empty buildings in downtown Coos Bay. They have urban renewal. Wow, it did a great job. Bandon, go look at all the empty buildings in Bandon. A lot of those businesses got urban renewal. I know, I was there. Been doing this for 20 years, me and Elaine Howard, and I find it strange that you go to the one person whose whole job is to create urban renewal agencies. It's like buying a car from a salesman and then checking with the salesman instead of Carfax to find out what's wrong with the car. You just gave these people behind me, David Milliron and the other gentleman, I don't know what, they sat up here for 20 minutes. I get 3. I could counter his argument. Hell, I've got an hour-long presentation on it, but you'll never see it. So thank you all. Please vote against this. And if you can, let the people decide. She's absolutely right. 20% turnout.
Thank you.
Let the people decide. They deserve it. Thank you, Nate.
Chris Castleman?
Good evening. I'm Chris Castleman from Coos County. I'm not from North Bend. I don't live in the urban renewal district. I was pretty heavily involved earlier this year when this came up for vote with the prior North Bend School Board. I've done a lot of research. I love reading documents, public documents. I've read everything the city of North Bend has put out. I've watched Elaine Howard's presentations, both of them from this year, which she was paid for. I've read probably the past 4 or 5 yearly reports from the North Bend Urban Renewal Agency. Anyways, I love numbers. I love finances. So I've done my research, and if anybody ever wants to talk about any of this with me, I'd be more than happy. I fear that you guys are just going to vote on this tonight and not table it, so there won't be an opportunity, but even if you want to talk afterwards, that'd be all right. A couple things stand out to me. I have 2 minutes left, so this is hard, but it's red flags, right? Like, you guys have kids, and if you were hearing a story from them and like red flags are going off, you'd be like, I don't think I really trust you. Like, I don't think you're telling me the truth. So I have a couple red flags. One of them is like, it's a $19 million annex project. You got a $4 million grant. So now we're at 15 million, but you're asking for a $33 million amendment. Where's the rest of the money? That's more than double what you actually need. So why are you asking for that much? That's my biggest question. And the North Bend School District prior administration had a lot of questions. You can see them all online. They've published them. And one of the questions that came up, the prior administration asked, will the taxpayers in the city of North Bend face a tax increase or new levy if this urban renewal plan does not pass? And David Milliron answered, no, taxpayers will not see a new tax or levy. And then weeks later, after the vote failed in February, they put 4 new tax levies on the ballot. Instead of asking the taxpayers if they want this plan to go forward, they asked them if they want more taxes after saying they would not see a new tax or levy. So that's another red flag. David Milliron today said that all the other taxing districts have approved this plan. Unless I missed something, that's false. The county did not approve this plan. It's probably the first plan they've ever not approved, an amendment or an urban renewal plan. They don't want to see this because they need that money. The county's broke. They need money for law enforcement and other things. So they need that $60,000. That's not a lot of money, but it's something. They don't have an equalization formula like the school district has, so they just lose that money every year. The city of North Bend even loses that money every year. They lose about $240,000 every year to the urban renewal district. So I have 10 seconds. This $33 million plan is taking $33 million of future tax revenue from where it's intended to go, which is all the other taxing districts. It's stealing it and putting it towards a public project. Anyways, thank you.
That's, the end of, public comments. Those public comments at this point in time. What I like to do is kind of go down the aisle and get some comments. If you want to, you don't have to make any comment. So,
Chair, can I add a couple?
yeah, certainly, Vince Swaggerty,
I just want to clarify a couple of things, and I'm trying to be very neutral. I'm not here to try to convince you, but I do want you to have accurate information. It is true, number one, the tax that gets siphoned off the bottom gets backfilled with local revenue. When you decrease the local revenue, means that the state of Oregon will backfill that, will not have a financial impact on the general fund budget. Okay, so that's been stated. I just want to reiterate the notion that it does not have a negative financial impact on the school district. Okay? It can be said that the fact that it's being backfilled from other parts of the state, it can be basically correctly stated that that means that the rest of the state in some way, shape, or form, more complicated than what I'm making it sound like, will actually end up helping fund this, right? Because from a school standpoint, what we lose comes from other places come into backfill. Right? So we're using local funds to support URA, statewide funds backfill that difference. Okay, that's number one. Number two, last year it was $10,600 per student. 10, are we up to 11 yet? But our projection were about $11,000 per student. So if what is built, if any students are new to the area, and that it will, on a student by student, increase our enrollment, which will provide approximately $11,000 per student in state schools. Okay, so that is the case. The third thing that I wanted to mention that wanted just to clarify a little bit, I pulled up my own tax bill. Okay, if the levy that was spoken about, the North Bend Urban Renewal Special Levy disappears, to give you an idea what that would it look like on my tax bill. The North Bend Urban Renewal, $180 came out of my property taxes to support that. The urban renewal from the county was $8.82. And the special levy was $106.75. So just a little bit more than a third of what I've paid in urban renewal was in the special levy. And as I understand it, and was stated, if this substantial amendment passes, that part actually decreases and would go away completely. All right, so that's and my tax bill total was $4,200, and $106 went to the special, but so percentage wise, it's not substantial, but that just gives you an example of what that looked like since Jeff and David didn't off the top of their head even having know what that number was. So.
Cool, fair enough. Yeah, some thoughts?
Just sitting here right now, I am for the school district and I feel like we do need money, we do need students. And in order to get students, we do need housing. And so just all of that, I mean, 72 new housing units is what they've stated roughly. And I think that's a lot of kids if we can get families in our area That's a lot of money for a school district. And so that's important to me. Yeah, this has been, it's a lot of information. We have attended trainings, we've done our own personal research, we've tried to immerse ourselves in as much information to make a good decision. And I would have to echo what Dan said. What I kept coming back to was my job is to do what's best for our school district. And one of our biggest issues is enrollment and staffing. And we're so grateful that we found a high school principal, for next year. But finding teachers and staffing has been a real challenge. And as the enrollment has trended down and kindergartners are getting smaller and smaller, the size, having kids in our public school and making sure they have a good experience, that all depends on funding. And in order to have people here, we need housing. I guess where I kept coming back to were those few points. And then I would take those lines of thoughts and try to string them along with other concerns from the county, because those are also, of course, very valid. So just to give you some insight on what my thought process has been through this, and I appreciate all the information that's been shared, whether you're for or against it, it is helpful. We need public feedback, so that's all for me.
I have a lot of the same thoughts. I've taken a lot of emails and calls from people in the public lately. I've done training. It's been a month of reading everything from last time, because there's a lot of good information in there. I think the biggest takeaway for me in all of this is that the city is landlocked, and so how are we gonna have the ability to increase housing and things like that, as we need to increase our population. And so if we don't increase housing, we don't have more kids in the seat, it affects our income. So for me, that's the biggest thing, is that housing means potential students. That means more students in our district and more income.
Michelle?
I stand by what I said last time. I like the idea of needing housing. I like the idea of getting rid of that ugly annex. But at the core of urban renewal, what I feel is the point of it is to take those blighted buildings, as you call it, and get them up to a place that is then able to sell and put back into the private sector. And what I hear is that the city of North Bend wants to hold on to all of these, and they're going to be I've had people, that don't want to be named because they are private business owners in the city of North Bend, and they can't compete with the city landlord that is, anyway. So I just don't think it's right to have the city own apartments and be in the business of being a landlord. But I don't know. The other thing I said last time was, I have a hard time putting my stamp of approval on $45 million and then being handcuffed behind my back and have no control over where that money goes, and yet I gave my seal of approval. So while it's a great idea, I like a lot of the concepts. I know we need housing. I know it's an issue. I just don't like the premise and the way this is being done.
Megan?
I agree that this area needs more housing, and, if you don't wanna, get rid of good just because you can't find perfect. One of my questions though, and Vince, if you can help me with this, is, I wanna know a little bit more about whether we wanna exempt the district from the urban renewal side or not, and whether we wanna make a change on that, because talking about possibly having a partnership in the future sounds like something that might be useful, or if you have any thoughts on what we should do around that.
There's certainly some pros and cons, as we talked about it internally. Initially we had concerns as to whether or not being a part of the RA now would somehow put us in jeopardy of having, you know, to put it bluntly, the city being able to point at our building or district office and say, you know, we want it and we're gonna do it somewhere else because it's gonna be a part of some major complex. And not have an opportunity to really control that. What we found out is, you know, city manager Miller said the law doesn't support that. One taxing agency can essentially, do a eminent domain as a taxing agency. With the kinds of limitations that, as we learned, weeks ago, if the state of Oregon decided they were gonna run a great big giant pipeline right through the middle of the district office, they'd figure out a way to do it, right? So, but that's not what we're talking about. So there's not a lot of concern that would happen. So, I wouldn't recommend that we just plop us in. I would recommend that we continue conversation about that and try to have, so we can get a sense for what potential benefits we might receive from that. Would our district office, could it stand for improvement? Absolutely. It's an old structure as much as, city manager Mel Iron talks about this structure. The one right across the street isn't doing a lot of it. The good news for the fire department is that they received they received the size of retrofit grant just like we did. We're working on North Bay. They're working on the fire department to try to make sure that stays stable. If we had a 9.2, but I would like an opportunity for us internally as well as us collectively to see what the benefits of that would be before adding it. But it does sound like, because it's not a part of a substantial amendment, that it can be done without having care. So, I would be certainly open to that, but I think we'd have to really explore that.
Okay, so because I was just looking at our agenda, and I thought we were currently in there and then be removing us. Is that not correct? Or am I, so there's a bunch of.
In the initial vote, we were
Mhm.
looking at it back in and then being that February. We requested to be removed from the URA map, and that request was granted.
Oh, okay.
So my understanding is that we are currently not in the URA map in the district office. It's not for us. They redo the map around the district office, so we're not currently in the part of the URA map.
All right,
And so we can potentially be added back, should we choose to do so, which, as David said, would potentially make us eligible to actually, do upgrades, in the same manner that other businesses would have the opportunity to apply for, potentially receive grants and have upgrades or have projects associated. At this point in time, district office is not in the match. I did want to respond to one other piece that you asked about, that this legislative session did not have any substantial votes that had any impact on the current formula for funding Oregon schools. All right. When the Portland school districts had a strike, because it was the largest district in the state, there was a lot of conversation about whether or not Oregon schools, the system for funding schools, was an adequate system. And so from that point till now, what was, I got a lot of attention, is now faded back into not a lot of attention. So there was a wave, and then it's kind of settled, and this legislative session ended without any substantial conversation about changing the system of funding. So at this point in time, I can say that there's not something imminent that's going to change the way that Oregon schools are funded. And so we will probably all, our grandchildren would have buried us before that happens, because that system has been in place for about Well, it was put in place after Measure 5 and Measure 50, so it's been in place since the 90s. And it has had no substantial changes.
Well, I stand by what I've already stated, no one disagrees with us needing a house. No one disagrees with having more students. And needing more students and improving the education, all the things like that. And we are here for students, but those students are also part of the community. Okay, they're not just going to be students in 15 years. They're going to be citizens. And I just don't trust the thing. And that's, but it.
I appreciate that. Urban renewal is designed to, to basically get rid of blight. And I don't think anybody in their right mind would say that annex, anything but a blight, needs to be removed. And how do you accomplish that? And the city of North End doesn't have the resources to be able to do it under the general funds. And that's exactly what urban renewal is designed to do. You take a little bit of each taxing to put it together, so you've got a nice bundle of money to affect these kind of changes that we're talking about here. We've heard about the county. County, if we got rid of urban renewal sunset, they would get about $60,000. And I'm gonna repeat what I said last time I was here. That's not gonna pay for an officer. It's not gonna pay for open up another pod, so we have people in jail there that deserve to be in jail. It's not gonna do anything, but that $60,000 wrapped in with the other money to come from the taxing districts will afford North Bend the ability to eliminate that blight, build housing, and basically improve that entire area around where the city hall is sitting at. That's what urban renewal is designed to do. And I respect the people who've talked to you today are basically fundamentally opposed to the whole idea of urban renewal. And that's a legitimate argument to have. I disagree with it, but I respect their ability to have that opinion. I think, my opinion is I'm gonna vote to pass these, because I think it's in the benefit of North Bend, it's in benefit of the school district, it's in benefit of our entire community. And that's what I have to say about that. Okay. Having said, any further discussion you want to have, or want to take it up? The first item before us is resolution 2026-01. It would be a resolution by the city of North Bend School District 13, concurring with maximum indebtedness increase in the North Bend urban renewal. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution 2026-01, accepting and authorizing the large increase in maximum indebtedness for the Urban Renewal Agency as outlined in Exhibit A.
We have a second. Any further discussion? Call for the question then, all in favor say aye. Well, why don't we have a hand vote? All in favor, raise your hand. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? We have 2. 5-2 vote. The resolution passes. Moving to the second item. That is resolution 2026-2026-02, a resolution by the city of North Bend School District 13, concurring with the inclusion of a public building project in the North Bend urban plan. We have a motion there.
I move to approve resolution 2026-02, accepting the list of urban projects that exhibit A, B.
Any second?
All second.
And a second. Any further discussion? Again, by a raise of hands, all in favor, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those opposed? Two. The motion passes, the resolution passes. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time, coming forth and expressing your opinions. And now it's time to move on to the next item on our agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Pardon me?
I want to say thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and excuse myself. I've got a sick puppy I gotta get from surgery in Portland.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Next item is OSBA implementation of pool superintendent evaluation site of support action. Item number 7. We attended a meeting with the SBA Oregon State Pool Board Association, talking about one of two items, either a pool superintendent evaluation. We also talked about a targeted feedback survey. We had a discussion a little bit there. We want to talk about it a little bit more and what we want to do, if anything.
I think the biggest takeaway from the training for me was that if we do work with the OSBA, and do the survey, when it's a little bit in on this, but also if they help us, because we don't know how to evaluate the superintendent. Many of us haven't been through it, so might be. It just seemed like they could give us a lot of guidance, help us with goals and things like that, that would be out of, well, you would understand.
I think it's important for me with for new people that we understand this a little bit better about how we evaluate the superintendent and the best ways to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's wanting to make sure that we both don't underdo it or overdo it as far as what our district needs are. And just making sure that we fully understand our responsibility and the options and the support and aid that is available to help us with these things. And just to make sure that we can do our job thoroughly and to the best of our ability. And with most, evaluations for any job you may have, typically some kind of outside feedback is required. And so, I appreciated the training that just gave us more information on how that should work and what that looks like and what is kind of common practice among a lot of other districts in our state. And it was very informative and I appreciated that.
Any other thoughts?
I do have a clarifying question because I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
So I understand the motion for the targeted feedback. The other one, that is not for this review cycle, because this review cycle is too late, right? That would start next year.
Right.
If we went ahead with that, yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Right, it would start
So
the next review cycle.
we went ahead with that, we get the targeted survey. And if not now, it should, but now it should, and then the evaluation process and timeline would start next year.
Right,
Next
yeah.
year.
Right. Oh,
Right?
Yeah, my understanding is, with the previous board approved in January stands. And we'll be dealing with that, and this is for future. Down the road to have maybe a different plan for evaluation, which hasn't even been decided on.
yeah, right, we're still in learning and stuff.
I mean, the main thing I think, if there was any confusion, was that the January decision is being honored.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
don't
and
do that,
I-
that's not-
right, I really appreciated, sorry.
Okay.
I very much appreciated, the presentation that we had on this training, because I think it's really important that everyone has the same expectations. That we share the same goals and we have them written in a way that everyone, understands whether we meet them or not, and what we need to do and how to regroup and how we're proceeding forward. And so I really like the idea, of having the system in place where we can kind of see where we're going, where we've been and where we want to be, so, yeah.
Sure, you go ahead, your, Shelley? Yeah. My thinking is, I have no issue with the, targeted survey, because we're talking about getting feedback from staff, to help us make a decision in terms of, that. And frankly, like to be fiscally conservative, that's not that expensive to do. That, to do the full-blown, superintendent evaluation cycle is substantially more expensive. And I think the way I'd like to approach this, my personal opinion on it, is to, go ahead with the targeted survey now, and then see how it goes from there, to get a feel for exactly enough information. Bearing in mind that the OSBA is always available to talk to us, give us some guidance, or at least some advice on how to approach things. So I mean, that's my thinking right now is pass the, or authorize expenditure of funds for the targeted feedback survey, but put on the back burners anything about the full-blown evaluation cycle. Because I frankly look at that might be a bit much.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, most of the time for sure. Chair McClintock, can you please let us know who is the targeted body that you're representing here in the survey?
I think it would be staff, administration, those are the people they'd be talking to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, staff, thank you. Administration. as well.
Yes, that's primarily what we're looking at.
So district employees and representatives in that target group.
Okay,
Thank
you have a motion?
I move to accept the attached superintendent evaluation facilitation plan for 25-26 targeted feedback survey at outline from appendix A of the OSLBA 2026 superintendent evaluation facilitation.
Just the.
What's the target?
Yeah.
I'll second it. Any further discussion?
Okay, so we're basically, putting on the back burner, number 7, right?
Yes. Yes.
Just so
number
that's
7,
clear.
Yeah.
And then number 8 on our agenda would be the target.
So are we officially tabling number 7 then, Nathan?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Are we tabling number 7
Yeah,
then? Is that what you're
yeah.
saying? Okay.
Assuming everyone was agreeable with that.
Yes.
All right, well then, let's vote on it. This is to authorize suspended for funds toward the, targeted feedback survey. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Once again?
No.
Okay, 1 no. 6-1. All right, next item, we'll jump in from 7 to 9, policy update number 3. That's no action, we have that on our, booklet. Read it. Thoroughly understand it. And we'll be back to pass it probably next time.
Yes, and along with that, always extend an offer to any board member who wants to schedule time to work with us to understand and learn more about policy itself. So between now and next month, if you're interested, call Michelle and you can set up a time and you kind of go through whichever ones that you have interested or all. We just have to make sure that you guys can reach that we're big enough that would be considered.
Yeah, right.
Right, so.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, we have the district financials, which are there for us to review. That moves us to board comments. Yeah. Any board comments? Julie?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I actually have one. I don't wanna point her out, but Amber Yester happens to be here in the city of North Bend, just awarded her an award, and that's pretty cool having one of our educators being awarded in the city. That's nice.
I had one that says by Amber yesterday, he's gone there, our athletic director. We have a conflict.
Uh-oh.
Soccer game, football game, both on a Friday. And I know a couple girls
Go where the band plays.
Was in the band.
Go where the band plays.
It can't be in two places at once.
All right, somebody go take you
We'll have to deal with this.
down. Yeah.
The schedule was created by the previous athletic.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, board comments, information only, and with that, I believe we reached the end and. Very good.
Right.
Very much.
7:21. Done with it, there, Nate.